Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of RPGs with Paddy. I'm Paddy. So, a slightly different video here again, but just today, in very quick succession, I saw two memes pop up dealing with a similar issue, and I just wanted to share my thoughts on them. Naturally, memes are memes and shouldn't be taken too seriously, but I also think they can strengthen people's views, and I just want to counter some of these ideas. So this first one boils down to the player character wants to convince the villain to just give up and be nice. The GM says you can't do that, and the player argues angrily that they have persuasion. Now, the poster of this was arguing against the GM here, saying that there should be non-combat options available to the players. And I absolutely agree with that in principle. And in fact, a lot of the games that I play encourage the players not to go for combat as their first, second, and third resort, mostly because it's very lethal. But it encourages them to think of other ways around situations. And that's great. Players should not be railroaded into doing things in one specific way. However, there will be certain cases where it doesn't make sense what the player is trying to do, or it's impossible. In those cases, there shouldn't be a role involved, in my opinion. A classic example, and I think I heard it first from Matt Colville, is if you try to persuade a king to give up his kingdom to you. Naturally, the king would never do this, no matter how persuasive your argument was. Unless, of course, the kingdom was in revolt or you had a knife to his throat or something like that. But in a standard situation, the king is never just going to give you his kingdom. If you want good NPCs, then they should also have a certain amount of agency. They can't just be outdone by a role. It has to make sense for them to do it. Similarly, if a dragon had very high persuasion skill, you wouldn't want it to persuade the player characters to walk right into its mouth just because the GM had a good dice roll. So again, I'm not saying that NPCs and PCs should be treated the same in all cases. So, in my opinion, GMs, you don't need to allow your players to just do anything they want. Does it make narrative sense? If yes, then it can be rolled for. If no, then it doesn't matter what skills, abilities, proficiencies the player characters have, it's just not possible. For example, if you had an athletics skill, is it possible to jump across a 200-foot wide cavern? No. So treat it like that. The gulf is too far, it doesn't matter what you roll. So we won't roll. And so the next meme that I saw is suggesting that even nat 20s, or a natural 20, rolling the best possible outcome on the die, doesn't guarantee success. In general, I disagree with this. So as I said from above, you shouldn't be asking your players to roll unless there is a chance of success. And if there is a chance of success, then rolling the best possible outcome should lead to success. Otherwise, what was the point of rolling? Now, of course, there are a few exceptions. One is where it's a group roll and the combined group roll wasn't sufficient. One person might have rolled excellently, but the rest of the group rolled terribly. The other exception is where success is a bit ambiguous. If you eat poison and you're rolling a survival roll or something like that, a failed roll might mean that you die. Whereas a successful roll means you are in a coma or you have some long-term damage. It doesn't necessarily mean that you got off scot-free, like a perfect success. So in the earlier example I mentioned, trying to persuade a king to give you his kingdom, if you roll for that, a success might just mean that he laughs it off and he takes it as a joke. Whereas a failure means that he has you flogged or imprisoned for asking such a ridiculous question. Now, those are my ideas for getting the most out of role-playing. For players, not everything you suggest is going to be possible. So if it's not possible, you might not be able to roll for it. For GMs, if you do get the players to roll, there should be a chance of failure and a chance of success. Now, what success and failure means is negotiable, but there should be a chance if they're rolling. Finally, I'll just put it out there. Play the game you want to play and your group wants to play. That's the fun of role-playing. Every table is different to suit the needs of each individual group. Just have fun however you want to play it. Okay, so that is all for now, and I will see you next time. Bye.